Good morning, everybody. Good morning. We are low this morning, which is clear that the word got out that I'm preaching. So we're glad to have you here today. Just a couple of quick announcements, and we'll go on into the greet. I want to sit down, it's not going to take very long. We are going to go ahead and cancel our Bible study tonight with Pastor Shane being on anniversary vacation with his beautiful bride, and Mandy and I have some things that we need to take care of for our family, and so we didn't quite have everything, and so Phil graciously agreed to hold his lesson for 1 week, and we'll do we'll get back at it next week. So no Bible study tonight. The men's golfing trip this Saturday, we are leaving at 8 o'clock. So if you are going, you can be here at 8. And if you haven't signed up yet, you got to sign up today because we're trying to work out transportation and our teams and golf carts and all that stuff. So, but it's going to be a great group. We've got over 20 guys going. It's going to be a good time for our men to connect. And, excuse me. Also, today is the last day for kids to sign up and pay for preteen camp. So if you've got a 3rd through 5th grader who want to go, we got to know today, okay? The forms are over there, the sign-up's over there. Be sure to get them signed up. Come talk to me if you have any questions. I'll be happy to let you know. We're going to take a moment here to say hi to everybody and greet everybody. But during that time, it is also our Sunday to recognize our May birthdays and anniversaries. So as you turn around and say hi to people, also come up here to the front so that we can recognize our birthdays and anniversaries. There's one. Yeah. All right, if you want to go make your way back to seat, and if you got a birthday or an anniversary and you haven't made it up yet, come on up. That is recognized here. This month, our birthday and anniversary offering is going to our help that we do with South African missions. So here we go. Uh-oh. Let's start with him. Okay, here we go.
It'll be all right, everybody. I got number one, my oldest daughter, Lenny. She's gonna turn 9 tomorrow. So it is, yes, it is. I got it coming. So.
My wife Kay had birthday on May 14th, but I'm not at all at liberty to say what the number is. I'm going to get $20.
Ours is twofold. My birthday's tomorrow, and I have joined the ranks of fully vested Social Security, and I guess you'd call it. And we have been married the 25th, 45 years. I was 44, 45. We were at this church in the north, but still building.
Today's my dad's birthday. He's 37.
David Person, I had a birthday on May 3rd.
And he's older than Gilbert.
Elena Davis, my birthday was yesterday.
We're going to ignore that one.
Okay, I got a couple. Me and Chuck, our anniversary is May 25th. We share a birthday of May 30th, along with our granddaughter, Emily, who's 13. And do I need to say her ages? Because I prefer not to. 27. May 6th, I turned 16.
On May 25th, I'll turn 13.
Marlon and Ruth Ann Hoover, and on May 24th, we'll be happy 13 years.
Atlanta Johnston, and on May 3rd, I went
My name is Joe Orr, and Vincent reminded me that his mother's birthday was this month on May the 3rd. And I kind of let it slip my mind at that time, so I've been in the doghouse for 15 days, I guess. But anyway, on May the 3rd, she became 6 years younger than me.
All right. Well, thank y'all so much for coming up. And let's pray. Dear Lord, we want to thank you for these wonderful blessings that you've given us from birthdays to lasting marriages, Lord, to people who are committed to you, to your work, and Lord, that their whole life that may be yours. Praise you in this time of celebration. Say these things in your holy name. All right. Let's sing. Happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. 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 Happy birthday, God bless you. Happy birthday to you. These are the days of Elijah, declaring the word of the Lord. And these are the days of the Son of Moses, righteousness being restored. And all the judgment and trials of heaven and darkness is gone. We are the ones in the desert crying, and carrying the on before we come.
Ephesians 2:8, so that we're not confused about what saves us. It says, "For by grace you are saved through faith. And this is not from yourselves, but is a gift of God." Amen. Let us rise as we sing, let it rise. If they're over through here. Let the glory of the Lord Amen. Jamie, first, start off with.
Please bow with me in prayer. Lord God, we like to come to you today and just say what a great and worship you in your house in the name of your Son, Jesus Christ. We pray that as we gather today, that you will speak to us and show us how to live our lives. That you will use the word purpose. And it will not be our life, but that our life will belong to you. That we will be your treasure. That your word will be done. Your face in dream.
Thank you, Jay. Not only is Carly Irene Miss Frederick, but she also has a gold medal to her credit that she got on the relay team at track meet. She So she came up to me last Sunday and said, I have a song I'm ready to sing next Sunday. And I about fell over because when you're charged with selecting the music and getting someone to sing. Not always the easiest thing to do. I have been planting a lot of seeds here lately, but Harley came up to me.
Where are you now when darkness seems to win? Where are you now when the world is crumbling? Oh, I hear you say, look up, child. Hey, look up, child. Hey, where are you now when all I feel is doubt? Oh, where are you now when I can't figure it out? Oh, I hear you say, look up, child. Hey, look up, child. Hey, look up, child. Hey, look up, child. Hey, look up. You're not threatened by the war. You're not shaken by the storm. I know you're in control. Even in our suffering, even when it can't be seen, I know you're in control. Oh, I hear you say, look up, child. Hey, 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 look up.
All right, children, you are dismissed to Children's Church if you want to go. I did not win a gold medal in the relay, ever. I did not get Miss Frederick this year. Oh man, hard to follow that up. We're gonna see what we can here. Okay, so some people have been asking me about the graphics this morning. Well, my sermon title this morning is "The Elephant in the Church." Kind of taking a spin off of the elephants in the room. Of course, the concept behind that phrase is that if there was an elephant in here, it'd be crazy huge, but we're all too scared to say anything about it. And so we're going to talk about a few things that we're sometimes too scared to say anything about. The first thing I'll bring up an elephant in the room is why half of you think I've been flipping you off for the last 60 seconds. If you didn't hear, kind of the running joke we have is, you may have given these graduates like some money for graduating. Dude, I spilled my blood for these guys. We were at Kate's graduation party, and we noticed they were using the church's punch bowl, so it's totally on us. But we noticed there was some punch underneath the bowl, and so Mandy got a towel so she could mop it up. And so I picked up the bowl. Well, what we thought was someone had spilled was actually a hairline fracture in the punch bowl. So the thing shattered in my hands. And I proceeded to take the big piece in my right hand and shove it into my finger on my left hand. So I've got 10 stitches. The ER was all kinds of fun. The best part was when my blood pressure crashed and my eyes rolled back in my head and I started violently shaking and foaming at the mouth, and my wife thought I was about to die. And she started getting very mad at me because she didn't want to raise her kids alone. And so we got it worked out. They got me awake again. That was the funniest thing I got to say. When I woke up and I'm looking this nurse in the eye and I'm sitting here going, wait a minute, I know they didn't give me anything to put me to sleep. So how in the world am I waking up here? I don't know what's going on. So that was lots of fun. We're praying. I get the stitches out the day before we go to children's camp. So yeah, there you go. But luckily, no ligaments were cut and no glass got left in the cut, so they were able to clean it real nice. They were great. As always, it was an ER, so it may have been a little bit on the slow side, but it was. They were great. They were wonderful to help us out. So there you go. So I promise. No matter what you think, I'm not flipping you off this morning. The other elephant I will mention, I mentioned in the announcements that we were canceling tonight, partly because Mandy and I had some stuff to take care of. This weekend, my 95-year-old grandmother passed away. And we were very blessed. We got there about 30 minutes before she passed. And so we were able to get to spend some time with her and with the family. And she is a wonderful testimony to me. She loved the Lord with all her heart. She had over 20 great-grandkids and even a couple great-great-grandkids. She loved her life. The thing I was telling my dad that I'm going to be officiating the service on Tuesday. And something I was telling my dad was how I never saw her mad one time in my entire life. And he goes, yeah, that's not true for me. And I'm like, well, of course, you're her kid. Yeah, of course you saw it. But I never saw it. She always had joy in her life. Even when the grandkids were running around trashing her house, she just had a smile. She was always so joyful. She just loved people. And so it's been an amazing testimony that for me that I need to do a lot better at embracing. But so we're going to be helping. Mandy's going to be getting a video together tonight so that we can get that ready for the funeral. And I'll be finishing up a message. It's hard. I'm not going to lie. It is hard to give a message for your own family, but at the same time, it is by far the least I can do. And so this morning, what I'm sharing with you actually came from our men's Rewire retreat. We were up there, and a gentleman named Heath Tucker, that you may remember having been on staff here for a little while, is currently pastor in Skytook, and he is absolutely killing it. He is passionate about the Word of God. He's passionate about the ministry that God has placed in his life, and he led one of our breakout sessions. And out of that session, I really felt led to come and share this today. The elephant in the room, or in the church, that I'm going to take us into today, we're going to be in Isaiah chapter 58. And so you can turn there, and I don't have anything up on the overhead, so I'm going to try to just be very clear on my points. But in Isaiah chapter 58 is this amazing story. You know, a lot of times we kind of look at it and we sit here and say, well, the Bible doesn't really cover everything. You know, I have problems in my life. I have things I'm dealing with. And there are just some things that the Bible doesn't cover. And then God wakes us up and says, yeah, I did. And in Isaiah chapter 58, the title of it is True and False Fasting. But as we get into the story, what we're going to see is this is a time where people of God, those who, well, not just the nation of Israel, but specifically those who worship God. So we're talking basically the before Jesus church, when they felt like they could not see God. How many times do we get in a spot where we just feel like we aren't seeing God? We feel like we're not seeing Him move. We look around and we see a bunch of empty pews. Like, where are the people, God? Go to church on a regular basis. We give our tithe. We read our Bible. And we just sit here and go, the passion isn't really there. I mean, it gets me too. I get there myself. I don't want you to talk about preaching addict. This is something for all of us. You know, I've been really struggling, and my heart has been very burdened for the fact that no water's been stirring here for quite a while. We just sit here and we say, God, why aren't we seeing it? Why aren't you doing something? I mean, it's not I don't want you to sit here and say that we're like questioning His existence or we're doubting our salvation. That's not really what we're talking about here. What we're talking about is this idea of going, God, we're being, why aren't we seeing? And I think the reality is that we're looking in the wrong place. And so we're going to go into Isaiah chapter 58. And in verse 1, starting in verse 1, he says to Isaiah, God is speaking, he says, cry aloud, do not hold back. Lift up your voice like a trumpet. Declare to my people their transgression, to the house of Jacob their sins. Yet they seek me daily and delight to know my ways, as if they were a nation that did righteousness and did not forsake the judgment of their God. They ask of me righteous judgments. They delight to draw near to God. Now there's a big contradiction here as we look in these first two verses. Because on one hand, we hear God saying, call them out, point out their sin. But then what does he say in verse 2? He says, yet they seek me daily and delight to know my ways. And at the end of verse 2, he said, they delight to draw near to God. So we're sitting here looking at this and going, how is God issuing a condemnation when he turns around and he says, they delight to know my ways? Well, that's what we're going to look at here. And that's where I'm afraid all too often we fall into traps. We fall into opportunities for ourselves to take our eyes off of where it truly needs to be so that we can see God. Right? And so as we go into verse 3, they said, why have we fasted and you see it not? Why have we humbled ourselves and you take no knowledge of it? Behold, in the day of our fast you seek your own pleasure and oppress all your workers. Behold, you fast only to quarrel and fight and to hit with a wicked fist. Fasting like yours this day will not make your voice to be heard on high. Is such the fast that I choose, a day for a person to humble himself? Is it to bow down his head like a reed and to and to spread sackcloth and ashes under him? Will you call this a fast and a day acceptable to the Lord? So what he's showing them is they're doing all the elements. Okay? They're doing the sackcloth and the ash, and they're going through times of fast. And they're sitting here saying, God, are you not seeing this? Why are we not seeing you move? Why is this not happening in front of us when we're doing all the things. Let's be honest, how often do we do all the things and then sit here and say, God, why aren't we seeing anything? God, why aren't you blowing the doors off? How come I'm not getting excited about this anymore? What's going on, God? And again, God's about to tell us. And so we need to see this as not as a condemnation period, but a condemnation with a hope for the future. We always need to realize God never just condemns. He always loves. I hope you see that. I hope you realize that. I hope you know that no matter how far you fall, He always loves. There's consequences. We'll pay a price. That doesn't mean He doesn't love us. So God, in His love, is giving them a direction. So in verse 6, it says, is not this the fast that I choose? This is God talking to us, literally telling us, this is what I choose. To loose the bonds of wickedness, to undo the straps of the yoke, to let the oppressed go free, and to break every yoke. I know I am in ag country, so I don't need to explain a yoke, but you all get the idea that whether it's an animal or a person, as he's talking about, has a yoke on, it is so constraining, and it forces them down a very specific path. Okay? And a lot of times, we allow ourselves to be strapped down by these yokes that we put on ourselves. God, I'm doing these things. God, I'm living this life. I'm where I think I should be. And because I've created all of this, it should all be working out. And but we're missing it. And that's why, as we looked there at the beginning, at verse 6, he said, the first thing he said was to loose the bonds of wickedness. And it's kind of the big point, but we'll break it down a little bit more as we go. The problem is we're looking for God inside these four walls. This is not where we're going to see God working. This is not where we're going to see God moving. God is working to loose the bonds of wickedness. We know people in our lives who do truly wicked things, who have done horrible things, who some of us might say are unredeemable. We know people who have served, are serving in prison, people who have made horrible choices, people who have ruined other people's lives. And we look at these people and we go, how dare you? We get mad at them, and we condemn them, and we push them out. But the first thing God said what He's doing is He's looking to loose the bonds of wickedness. And so we need to be looking there. We need to be looking to the people who are struggling with life, to the people who have failed, because God is crying out in their life. God is reaching out to them that they may know Him and that they may love Him. So my question for you on this point is, who do you know that you would say, oh yeah, that's wicked right there? Who do you know that has gone too far? Because the second half to that is that whoever that is that you just thought of, that's the person you need to be praying for. That's the person you need to be reaching out to, that you need to be showing love to. Now, am I saying that we need to, get a convicted felon and give them the spare bedroom in our house? No, that's not what I'm saying. But do we need to be praying for them? Do we need to be looking to how we can share Christ with them? You better believe it. Because that's what God has called us to do, is to love the wicked. And then it goes on in the same verse, and it said, to let the oppressed go free. You know what I'm talking about. Whether it's people you go to school with, or people you go to work with, or people that you hang out with, it just seems like life has always gone down. They can never get ahead. They're always asking for a handout. They're always struggling with a relationship choice they should not have made. They're always down. A lot of times we got people like that in our own families. Sometimes we're that person in our family, but there's always those people that are just oppressed, that life keeps them down. God's loving them. God's reaching out to them. And if we want to see God move, if we want to see where God is at work, that's where we need to be looking. The lives of the wicked and the oppressed. And we need to be reaching out to them and showing them the love of Jesus Christ. As we keep going, excuse me, in verse 7, it says, is it not to share your bread with the hungry and bring the homeless poor into your house when you see the naked to cover them, and not to hide yourself from your own flesh? So in these 2 points here in verse 7, I have been amazed. I just got to say this. Our church has a benevolence ministry where we help people out sometimes. And I have been in ministry for over 20 years. I've heard every story. When someone comes in and they try to hit me with the humdinger, that I'll just go, oh my gosh, I need to sell my house so that I can give you food, money, and everything. I struggle because I'm sitting there going, yeah, I heard it all. Mary is the one that takes our calls in the office when someone calls and asks for help. And I know she has to fight being cynical on that, because I know I have to fight being cynical. Guys, when we get cynical, when we don't want to help people that are hungry, we don't want to help people have nowhere to go, that's where God is. That's where God wants to use us. Now, again, I'm not saying that we need to cancel everything in the church and turn the entire budget into benevolence ministry and just write a check every time someone asks. But we do need to be helping people. And in honesty, when we look at Scripture, we need to help people till it hurts. We can't just help people when it's easy for us. Paul talks about it. Pagans do that. They help people when it's easy. But we need to help people when it hurts. We need to help people when we're not really sure how we're going to be able to make it if we do. We have to put ourselves out there. Now, why? Some people look at me, well, why would I have to do that? Ladies and gentlemen, Jesus Christ lived a sinless life and died on the cross. And he paid the price for your sin and for my sin. And we have an opportunity to spend eternity with God the Father only because of that. Not because of anything we do inside the walls of this church. Not because of anything that we have done to make ourselves good people. But solely because of his gift. And if he's willing to do that for us, then I think a little discomfort is a small price to pay. We need to learn to love on people again. When we were in the hospital room with my grandma, Mercy has this really cool thing up there in Oklahoma City where when they know someone's passing, they have a room that has like kind of a living room, some couches and stuff in it, so that your family can be in there together and be able to have a very restful time as you're with your loved ones that are passing on. and we're in there, and Elijah was in there with us. And Elijah, we didn't want to freak him out. I mean, obviously, this is his first time to really experience death face to face with a loved one. And so we didn't want to push him or make him do anything. But he said, I just want to love on Grandma. And so he went in, and he went over, and he kissed her on the forehead. He said, I love you, Gigi. Love you. And there was no shake, there was no fear, it was just love. I don't say that to praise my son. I say that to say that children have a different view of the world. Children look at things differently. They haven't been hardened. They haven't been burned like we have. I'm not going to call it names, but we have some kids in this church who have been dealt a really bad hand. But you can still see joy in their face and in their lives. We got to get that back. We got to be able to see past our hurts and past our social mores of making sure that we stand right and look right in front of people, and instead realize that we need to have joy in our hearts for everybody and love on them unconditionally. That's what God is calling us to do, and that's where we are going to see God move in mighty ways. We have a couple individuals in our lives who, well, I'll just put it bluntly, they're annoying as all kidding. And it is hard to love on sometimes. And they don't know Christ. And so even though there are those times where we just want to say, dude, just leave. And I'm not up for it right now. I'm busy. I got too much to do. But we don't realize that that's where God's with. That's where we need to be. And so as it keeps going, I'm going to try to get through all of this because I had several points. He had 2 hours to do this, so I'm trying to do this in one message. So here we go. But as we go on, in the second half of verse 7, he said that God said that he is seeking our honesty. When you see the naked, to cover him and not hide yourself from your own flesh. We heard naked and flesh, and we kind of went in one direction. But if you could just take the second half of that part, and not hide yourself from your own flesh. We like to pretend like we don't have sin in our life. Well, I'm not as bad as that guy over there, or I'm not as bad as that person over there. I'm not as bad as this person that needs someone to take them in. I'm not as bad as this person that needs food. I'm not as bad as this person in prison. I'm not as bad as that person over there that I know just went through some really nasty stuff in their family that I'm totally going to talk about and act like I'm not gossiping. We look at people like, man, I'm not there. But we need to be honest with ourselves. And we need to be honest with God. And we need to fall on our faces and repent for when we have taken the road we should not take. As it says, wide is the path that leads to destruction, and many enter by it, but narrow is the gate that leads to salvation. The walk with Jesus, let's be honest, guys, it's just about a tightrope. He doesn't give a lot of room for us to take other paths, because there's only one, it's him. And it is so easy for us to step off and to move away from our walk with the Lord. And we've got to be honest with ourselves and be honest with him so that we get right back on that path. Because if we're just helping people so that we can say we helped people, we're still not going to see that. If we go to church so we can say we went to church, we're still not going to see God. If we still do all the things we want to do when we feel like it, and Jesus is Sundays and Wednesdays, we're not going to see God. So to truly see him, we have to be honest with him and expose our own dirt. Let him work through it. Then in verse 8, or pardon me, not verse 8, in verse 9, let's skip 8 just because it's on it. Starting in verse 9 through 11, it says, "Then you shall call, and the Lord will answer. You shall call, and he will say, 'Here I am.' If you take away the yoke from your midst, the pointing of the finger, and speaking wickedness, if you pour yourself out for the hungry, and satisfy the desire of the afflicted, then shall your light rise in the darkness, and your gloom be as noonday. And the Lord will guide you continually, and satisfy the desire in scorched places, and make your bones strong, and you shall be like a watered garden, like a spring of water, whose waters do not fail." I don't know if you heard all that, but as it goes through all of this, God is looking for his church to be united. He is looking for us to work together. He's looking for us to pursue him as one. The beautiful picture that I love is right there at the end of verse 11. It said, "You shall be like a watered garden, like a spring of water whose waters do not fail." Think of this idea of a watered garden. In the time when this was written in Isaiah, water was a lot more precious than it is today. It was a lot harder to get. We didn't have pipes in our houses where we twist a knob and we're good to go. They had to go get it. And so to have a well-watered garden took a lot of work. But here's the deal. It's not asking us to water the garden. That's God's job. We are the garden. Now, last time you looked at a garden, what was that flower doing? Nothing. The flower does not have the ability to get water to itself. That flower does not have the ability to go and shine on its own. That flower is going to bloom and be beautiful and be part of a garden because it's being watered. Because it is allowing itself to be taken care of. See, we need to quit trying to do it on our own, guys. That's what this is about. We're trying to do church on our own. I've got my ideas and I'm going to do what I want, but we can't do that. And not just church, but life. I've got my idea of what I'm going to do every day out there in the world. And I'm going to do it, but we can't do that. Instead, we have to look at these steps that God has given us for how to live a life to where we can see him. I don't know about you, but I would happily trade a career, money, provision. I would trade it all to know that I am in step with God Almighty. I would die today, and I would die happy to know I stand before God and he says, "Well done, good and faithful servant." That's what it's about. That's the prize. That's the gold ring. You've heard it before. I know you've heard it in the pulpit probably from Shane and from several other pastors. Whenever they interview the richest people in the world, they always say they're not happy. That no matter how much they get, there's always more. There's always someone else that's better. There's always someone else that has something they want. They can never get enough. But man, I've seen some happy poor people. I've seen some people with genuine joy in their heart because they know that even if the next meal doesn't come, they got Jesus. They know that even if they don't get to be the one to lead someone through a prayer, that they are watering a seed that will one day turn into salvation in a person's life. That's what it's about. We got to look at everybody from a, do you know Jesus or do you not? If you do, then let's work together. And if you don't, how can I show it to you? How can I be Jesus in your life? How can I pour into you? And if we can look through those glasses, if we can have those eyes in our life at work and at play and whatever we're doing, it'll change things. It'll change things up here. It'll change things in here. We will see God move like we've never seen before if we'll focus on that. If we'll focus on being the people that God has called us to be, not to check off a list, but because we hunger for Him. I mean, how cool is that? Can we flip that coin? Instead of doing things to make sure I'm saved, I'm doing things because I can't get enough of God. I'm living this life because He's too awesome and too wonderful, and I just need more of that. That's what it's about. That's why we do this. And so that's why in the last verse, this is my last point, in verse 14, it says, "Then you shall take delight in the Lord, and I will make you ride on the heights of the earth." God's reward is not just being happy. God's reward is not just having a meal. God's reward is not being comfortable. But God's reward is to take us where we could have never imagined. God's reward is for us to know real life. Life greater than anything we could have ever dreamed of. So I don't know where you are. I don't know what you think about all this. We're getting ready to go into a time of invitation, and as we go into this time, if you're sitting here saying, I want that, and I don't have it. If you come in here and you realize, I've never actually given my life over to Jesus Christ, then you don't wait. Come right on down here. And I want to talk with you, and I want to pray with you, and I want to welcome you into the family. It's my brother and my sister. And maybe you're sitting here saying, I've just gotten too tied up with stuff. I've gotten busy. I've been doing the things. I've been going through the motions. But the joy is gone. I'm not passionate about seeking the people that He wants me to seek and serving in the ways that I can see Him. I'm not hungry for Him. I want to be hungry. The altar's open. You are welcome to pray, but just as equally, I encourage you to drop on your knees right where you are and call out to your God that He can help you have a right heart and a straight path, and that you may walk the direction He's calling you, so that you can see Him. As Henry Blackaby said in Experiencing God, the only way to truly experience God is to see where He's moving and become a part of it. So I want to encourage you to look for where He's moving. Become a part. Dear Lord, we come before you now. We are so grateful for all that you are and for all that you give us. Lord, may we see past our good acts of the church. And instead, may we see the wonderful workings of you in our lives, in this world. Lord, overflow our hearts that we may love reach out. Lord, that we may see this community come to know you, to love you, and to pursue you with all of you. We love you and praise you. Say these things in your holy name. Amen.
Marvelous grace of our Lord, grace that exceeds sin and our guilt. God brought Calvary's love down. There the blood of the Lamb was spilled. Grace, grace, God's grace, grace that will pardon and cleanse. Grace, grace, God's grace, grace that is better than all our sin. Let's take every good one high, one lamb of love to wash it away. Goodness flowing of crimson tide, water and soul you make me today. Grace, grace, God's grace, grace will pardon and cleanse. Grace, grace, God's grace, grace that is greater than all our sin.
All right. Again, we want to thank you for joining us in worship this morning. Remember that we cancel our Bible studies for this evening. So if you come up here, you'll be knocking on a dark door. We look forward to seeing you back here on Wednesday night. And we are, again, just so grateful you joined us this morning. Thank you for coming, and see you next time.